Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5 Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may help you get to the divine. Today we're going to respond to the idea that it's wrong that priests can't report people who commit murder or confess murder in the confessional to the authorities. Now before we begin, let's start with a prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sic in principio et nunc et semper, et secula seculorum. Amen. A great episode to watch after this would be, and I'll put in the banner, reasons why we have confession, a regular confession in the church. So I think most of you guys know that whatever is confessed in the confessional, the priest cannot say. So if you're a serial killer who killed 30 people, or let's say the priest recognizes your voice, and let's say you're a high-level person in the church and you admit to embezzling money from the church, or admit having an affair, and the priest knows who you are, can't say anything. If he breaks the confessional vow, he can get defrocked. It's a major grievance, and this is the way it's been since the beginning of the church. Why? Right? Because on one level you're like, well, if somebody's confessing murder, they should go to the authorities. So let's back things up. Now, if it's outside of the confessional, and a priest or deacon or somebody finds out that somebody murdered somebody or is embezzling, then they have, by all means and power and right and responsibility, to report that person to the civil authorities for justice. Okay? But in the confessional, it's different, because the person who's going to the confessional is seeking God's mercy. And we're all sinners, no matter how small or grave the sin is. Normally you go to confession for mortal sin, but no matter how large a sin is, they're going there for God's mercy. And you have to think, like, in the long run, if the church were to make a policy where most sins are now going to be reported to the authorities, but murder, incest, whatever the box is, what's going to be the long-term consequence of changing centuries of this discipline, this belief that anything that's mentioned in the confessional is forever silence? Overall, it's going to have a net negative effect on society and on the person. So let's look on the person. So the person is going there because there's some form of compunction or guilt. Think of Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, the classic novel. And so they're going there because they do feel bad. So it takes a lot for them to go. I mean, think about when you go to confession. It takes a lot for some people to go to confession. So this person's going there and they want to unload themselves, and they're truly contrite. That's why they're going there. So by the priest giving them absolution in persona Christi of Christ, and knowing that the priest can't say anything, they're getting a taste of God's mercy, and therefore are more likely to have a pure change of heart, and like, oh my God, God's mercy endures forever, and so forth, and more likely to confess to the authorities. So for the penitent, for the murdering penitent, it's better for them to maintain the way it is now. Now let's look at society in general. If we started, and let's just say it started with a murder, but like with a lot of things, there's incrementalism. You start with the murder. Okay, certain sins, if they're uttered, will be reported. What's the net effect there? People will stop going to confession. Even if you just tell them it's for murder, you're going to see less people going, because it's human nature, right? Oh, okay, now the Pandora's box open. Now, what's next? Cheating on my wife? What's next? Self-gratification? Whatever it is. So as an effect, less people will be going to the confessional. Therefore, more people will be walking around not in a state of grace and with mortal sin, and therefore periling their souls. And therefore also, too, theoretically, less people would be receiving the Eucharist, because you can't receive the Eucharist in a state of grace, or you shouldn't. And so that would be bad too. So you'd have less people going to confession, which is bad for society. It's bad for the souls of these Catholics. And it'd just be bad for the penitent murderer too. So, and you also see this played out in therapy too. Psychologists are under the confidentiality of doctor-patient, where unless they're saying, I'm going to do something, or I'm going to hurt myself, if it's stuff in the past, they're under the same law. They cannot say anything, because why? The therapist is there, theoretically, to help the person. They're seeking counsel. They're seeking help. They're seeking to reform their life. And so you see that parallel over there, and the same thing with the priest. So even though I know it's hard for some people to understand why priests can never break the vow, just think about it, because in the long run it's bad for everybody if we were to start implementing that practice. Guys, post in the comments, let me know if you agree or disagree. Please hit the notification so these episodes come straight to you, and share with others. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.